Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you some of my K-pop collection. I have a pretty ridiculous amount of K-pop albums and DVDs, so in order to keep this video from being too ungodly long, I've decided to split it into two sections. So today we're just going to be looking at the girl group albums, and then I'll film the boy group collection video a little bit later. I'm still waiting on a couple albums to arrive in the mail for that. So I have 6 girl groups that I currently collect, and I have everything separated according to group. The albums in each group are in order from the earliest album I have to the most recent album I have, and then any solos or subunits will come after that. And the groups themselves have been arranged in order from my least favorite out of the groups I collect to my absolute favorite K-pop girl group of all time. So the first group that I have albums from is AOA, which stands for Ace of Angels. I originally got into AOA because I really loved their band concept. I thought it was really cool. There wasn't any other K-pop girl group at the time that had, a band concept. Like for the boy groups, there's like FT Island, CN Blue, Day 6, but there really wasn't a comparable one for the girls. So I was really excited when AOA debuted, but unfortunately they kind of stopped doing that concept over time, so I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to continue to collect AOA or if this is kind of a stopping point for my collection. It's kind of up in the air right now, but currently I have 3 albums from them. I have their first single album, Angel Story. This was their debut, and it has their first ever title track, Elvis. Then I have their first mini album, Short Hair, which has the song Short Hair on it. It has 7 songs in total, 2 of them are instrumentals. And I also have their second mini album, Like a Cat. I really do love Like a Cat a lot. Even if it isn't their original concept, it's a really awesome song and really does work for them. This really is a pretty good mini album overall. I'm considering getting their most recent release, Good Luck, but I haven't decided for sure if I want to get it or not, or if this is kind of a good stopping point for me. Next on the list, we have Girls' Generation. Girls' Generation was actually the group that got me into K-pop, with their song Run Devil Run, so of course I had to collect some of their albums. I really like a lot of, not their super old stuff, like not their debut stuff, but sort of like Run Devil Run, Oh, that kind of stuff. But after Jessica left, I haven't really been keeping up with the group as much. So for Girls' Generation, you can see this is quite a tall stat compared to AOA. I have their second full-length album, Repackage, Run Devil Run. Then I have their first full-length Japanese album. I really love their Japanese albums. Those are really good albums. Even though that one had a lot of remix, the original songs were really good. Then their third full-length album, Repackage, Mr. Taxi, which is a repackage of The Boys. I liked this photo shoot and packaging a little better, so I got that version. Then we have their second full-length Japanese album, Girls and Peace. And then their fourth full-length album, I Got a Boy. I have 2 versions of this. I have the group version, and I also have Jessica's version. I really lucked out on this because I bought both of these secondhand after Jessica left, and I got them for under $10 each, which, if you know anything about Girls' Generation, that is unheard of. This usually goes for like around $100. I got an insane deal, which is why I ended up with 2 copies, because I bought the group version first, because I was like, there's no way I'll ever find Jessica's for a reasonable amount. And then the very next day I found it for like $10. And then I also have their third full-length Japanese album, Love and Peace. And their fourth mini album, Mr. Mister. And in addition to the actual Girls' Generation stuff, I also have Jessica's first solo mini album, With Love, Jay. Jessica was my bias in Girls' Generation, so that's why I haven't really been following the group as closely, but I do have Jessica's solo. And then the next girl group that I have is the Wonder Girls. Now, most people who are fans of the Wonder Girls really like their classic stuff, like Nobody, Tell Me, So Hot. I like those songs, but I'm actually not such a big fan of that era for Wonder Girls. I like the stuff after Lim joined the group the best, and that could be because that's when I got into the group, so that's the kind I'm most familiar with. I'm missing their second full album, Wonderworld. I do want to get that at some point, but other than that, as of right now, I don't really plan to go back and get their older stuff, besides Wonderworld. But I think this is their 5th mini album, Wonder Party. I don't really remember the numbers because I didn't collect their older stuff. It's their 4th or their 5th, I believe. And their second full album, Reboot, which was when they came back with the band concept, which I am absolutely in love with. Like I said in AOA, I love girl bands, and I'm so, like, who would have ever thought that Wonder Girls would turn out to be more of a girl band than AOA? And I also have the Yeon version of their most recent release, Why So Lonely. It's only a single album, sadly, with only 3 songs, which is kind of a bummer, but they are really good songs. And then I also have Yeon's solo mini album, Hotfelt. Hotfelt is her artist name. The album is called Me. I just found out that she's actually supposed to be making a solo comeback next year, I believe. So I'm really excited for that because I really love that mini album, and she's my bias in the group. The next group on my list, unfortunately, is no longer together. They disbanded earlier this year, and I'm still crushed about that because they were one of my original girl groups that I liked when I first got into K-pop. But that is 4 Minute, and I have most of their albums. I'm still missing 4 Minutes Left and Volume Up. I only collect their Korean stuff right now. I'm not really planning to get the Japanese albums, but I might at some point. But for 4 Minute, I have their first mini album, For Music. I have their second mini album, Huh? Hit Your Heart. And then I'm missing, like I said, their third mini album, Volume Up, and their only full-length album, 4 Minutes Left. But then I have their fourth mini album, Name is 4 Minute. I actually wasn't a big fan of What's Your Name. I know that's like their biggest hit, but I don't really care for that song compared to their other ones. Which, my taste with 4 Minute is really weird because I'm not a big fan of Hyunna's Red either, and that's like her biggest song. Then there's 4 Minute World, which, again, not a lot of people liked the title track on this one, but for me, it was my favorite out of all 3 of their Brave Brothers songs. And then there's Crazy, which was an amazing comeback. I wish they would have been able to do more with the style, because it really worked well for them. And then, what is unfortunately their final release, their 7th mini album, Act 7. And I feel so bad that they had to go out on a song like Hate. They were such a good group, and that was not the right song for them to go out on. And then in addition to the full group albums for 4 Minute, I also have Yoon's mini album, Harvest Moon, which, again, was really a missed opportunity because these girls are both fantastic singers, and the album tracks on this album are really good. But the title track was this weird country pop, like Hannah Montana Hoedown Throwdown type song, and why Cube went with that, I don't know. These girls deserved way better than that. And I also have Hyunna's 2 most recent solo albums, A+, and Awesome. I do plan to go back and get her other albums at some point, now that she's a full-time soloist. And I also have Troublemaker's second mini album, Chemistry, with Hyunna and Hyunsung. And this brings us to my second favorite girl group, 2NE1. I'm like 90% sure that they're unofficially disbanded as well. I don't think YG will ever come out and say, oh yeah, 2NE1 they're done. They're not a group anymore. Because he wants to continue making money off of the 2NE1 name. But with Minzy gone and CL focusing on a solo career that may not even materialize given YG's track record, I really don't think we're ever going to see them come back as a group, especially with Bomb on like what's basically house arrest. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they could prove me wrong. I didn't expect them to perform at the Mamas, I think it was last year. But I really just don't see it happening. But what's so sad is that 21 debuted the same year as 4 Minute. And you saw how big the 4 Minute stack was, and I don't even have all their albums. This is the entire 21 stack. These are all of their Korean albums. How depressing is that? Like, that is when you really see how bad of a company YG is. But yeah, like I said, I have all of their Korean albums. I don't really plan to collect their Japanese albums since they're mostly remakes. But I have their first mini album. I think it was just called 21. YG doesn't really name their mini albums. And their first full album, To Anyone. Their second mini album. And then their second full album, Crush. Now, Crush was a Korean album, but then they did do a Japanese version. I actually, instead of buying the Korean version, I bought the special edition of the Japanese one because it has, I think it's 3 discs. Let me double check. Yeah, it has 3 discs. It has the Japanese CD, which has some tracks that weren't on the Korean one, like Falling in Love, I Love You, Missing You, and Do You Love Me. Those weren't on the Korean album. So there is no physical Korean release for those songs, but the Japanese versions are on the Japanese album, which is part of the reason I bought this, because I do like those songs. And then disc 2 is the regular standard Korean version of the album. Then there's a DVD with music videos for most of the songs. So for me, that ended up being a better deal than getting the Korean album and the Japanese album. Like, just get it all in one. I probably won't go back and get the other versions, especially with them being pretty much unofficially disbanded. I think my 21 collection is sadly complete at just 4 albums, which, again, YG, why are you so terrible? And then finally, we have my very favorite girl group, my second favorite group ever, but really it's not fair to call them second because they're tied with my favorite boy group for how much I love them. And that is, of course, FX. So I have almost all of their releases. I am missing their Japanese summer special single and their Japanese concert DVD. I haven't decided yet if I want to get those or not because they are pretty expensive considering the relatively bare bones Japanese packaging. I probably will add them to my collection at some point. It's just not really on the cards for me right now. But I have everything else. I have all their Korean stuff. So first of all, we have their first physical single album, Chew. They actually debuted with a digital single that has 3 songs. I miss Sully so much, man. And then, of course, there's their first mini album, New Yapio. I actually became a fan of them before this album was even out. All I had out at the time I became a fan was just Chew and the digital singles. So that's pretty cool to me because that's the longest that I've been with any K-pop group. So I think that's why they will always have such a special place in my heart. And then there's their first full-length album, Pinocchio. The repackage of their first full album, Hot Summer. Which, honestly, I'm not a big fan of repackages in general, but this is like the lamest repackage ever. I mean, the concept and the packaging is nice and all, but it had 1 new song, which was Hot Summer. Then it also had a track from an OST they had done, and then La Chita and Chew, which were previously released singles. I mean, repackages are always kind of a money grab anyway, but that one was like the most blatant money grab from SM, in my opinion. And then there's their second mini album, Electric Shock. This is where their music really started to get good. Like, before that, for me, their music was always kind of hit or miss. Like, about half the songs on the album would be really good, and then half of them would be kind of filler. But, like, from Electric Shock out, there's, like, no filler on their albums. It's all incredible. And so I'm pretty bummed that we're probably not going to get a Korean comeback this year, because their music is so good. And then there's their second full-length album, Pink Tape. I love the packaging for this one. The concept is so cute. It literally looks like a little VHS tape. Like, how cute is that? And then my personal favorite album, which could have been their best era, ended up being their worst and messiest era because of, if you're an FX fan, you know what happened. The Sully drama and the promos getting cut short. It was a nightmare, but the album is still amazing, and the packaging is still my favorite concept on any K-pop album ever. I really love Red Light. But yeah, it's their third full-length album, Red Light. I have the original press of the Sleepy Cats version. Newer versions, I think, have that as the front cover instead of that. And then the Wildcats version, which I think might be out of print, which is a shame because this packaging is beautiful. And then their fourth full-length album, Four Walls, and of course their first as a four-member group. I was kind of bummed because SM did the different packaging on the back, like I got the Luna version, but the photo books are all the same, and they're like super, super thin. Like, you know SM could have made a bigger photo book than that. You know they could. They had a whole art exhibition for 5 nights with showing off different photos. They had more photos than that. But regardless, it's still a really amazing album, and I was really happy I got the Luna version because she is my second bias in the group. Amber is my first. And then I also have the concert brochure for their first concert, Dimension 4 Docking Station. This is basically like a photo book with promotional photos from the concert. I have an unboxing video up on my channel if you're curious to know more about it. And then I also have solo albums. I have, of course, Amber's first mini album, Beautiful, and Luna's first mini album, Free Somebody. I'm really, really happy that Luna and Amber were both able to release solos because, again, they are my biases in the group, and I really love their voices, I really love their music, and I'm really, really excited to see what they do in the future. Both as soloists, there are a couple duo songs that they do sometimes, and of course in the full group. I can't get enough of FX, truly. And then in addition to the albums, I have a couple more pieces of non-album merchandise. I have an issue of the Korean magazine The Star, which Amber and Luna did a photo shoot for. This is the only Korean magazine I own. I got it because I just really, really love their photos in this. I think they look so breathtaking, so gorgeous. Like, these hair colors are like probably my favorite hair colors they've ever done. The styling in it is beautiful. It works for both of them, which is kind of a rarity. Like, look at that. Like, they're just the most gorgeous women. Like, I love them both so much. Fun fact, there's a bonus crystal for an Etude House ad. But yeah, I'm really happy I bought this magazine. I don't normally buy Korean magazines because the photo shoots usually get scanned and put online. But like I said, they're my biases in the group, and this was just too gorgeous of a photo shoot to pass up. And then I also have their 2016 Seasons Greetings calendar. I don't have the calendar in here. It's currently up on my desk. Funny story though, I didn't actually buy the calendar at the beginning of last year, or the end of last year, like you're supposed to do with calendars. I bought it like 2 months ago. So I'm only going to get like half a year's worth of use out of it, but they're one of my ultimate bias groups, and I really do love the photo shoot, so no regrets. And probably eventually, if I can find them for cheap, I'll probably go back and get their other calendars too, just for the sake of having them, because I mean, I don't know how many more years we've got with FX, so I'd like to have all the things while I still can. So that was my girl group collection video. Those are the 6 girl groups I currently collect. I'm thinking about getting a couple Red Velvet albums soon, so that'll add a 7th group to my collection of girl groups because I really miss collecting girl group albums. Unfortunately, there aren't really a lot of newer groups that appeal to me because they're kind of going for the more classic K-pop sound, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I prefer the more electronic style like FX, 21, 4 Minute. So with 4 Minute disbanding and 21 basically being unofficially disbanded, there's a pretty huge hole in my life for K-pop girl groups. So I really like Red Velvet's comeback, so I'm trying to get into them more. And I might get a couple of their albums. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I know I've gotten some comments saying that I talk too much in these videos, but that's just my style. I like to talk while I'm showing off the albums. So hopefully I didn't annoy you guys too much with all my rambling. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look forward to the boy group collection video to come. Bye!